Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Back in the day, this used to be a huge event, the February signing day. Then December came along, and then that pretty much took over the priority on the signing day when it came to college football. But still, big one up in Logan. More players added to the roster for Bronco Mendenhall, head coach at Utah State. Bronco, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks. How about you?
I'm doing well. You remember how crazy those days used to be in February. How are things different now? Does December feel like February, or does neither one of these days really have that same kind of oomph that the old day had?
Neither one has the same impact as it once did. December much more so than what today is. And that's a combination, quite frankly, the early signing period, which basically is the high school signing period, is how I would describe that now. And then the emphasis now, and quite frankly, the need to build rosters, and really only one place to do it after December is the portal. And so the entire landscape is shifted. The coach's workload, the organizational design, the resources allocated, and then the preparation for a very short amount of time to rebuild rosters for every single program in the country has created this other phenomenon, which we're announcing our players, which were our transfer players, our portal players today. But that really has become an entity in and of itself, and maybe outweighs any of the other things we've talked about.
I know we're kind of backing up a little bit to December, but do you find that there are better high school players available than maybe in the past because they're getting overlooked by schools that are just saying, well, we'll get transfers instead of high school? Because it seems like high school recruiting's been overlooked a little bit.
Yeah, I think the theory is valid. Slightly more research needed to truly validate that, meaning when the kids' careers play out and the quality.
Yeah.
But my sense right now is that the quality of high school player available for Utah State is higher, and the demand is lower around the country and by emphasis, and the opportunity is greater. So I really see for Utah State and our program a chance to continue getting really good high school football players, especially from our own state, and leveraging that over time while I'm in the portal enough to continue winning and building momentum, but the future of the program being sustained through the consistency of high school recruiting.
You mentioned to me leading up to this signing day that the academic calendar was going to be a bit of an issue for Utah State with the one transfer portal opening now instead of two. How were you able to navigate that now that you're looking back on it?
Yeah, unlike anything I've ever experienced. And so for our listeners, the portal opens, I believe, on a Friday. Our school starts Monday. That means we had a Saturday, Sunday, and then classes began. We had to add what we assessed were 35 players to our roster in less than 2 weeks. We knew that going in, presented that to the institution. Utah State did everything they could to help. Professors adding classes, being a little bit more flexible in terms of some of the protocols that had traditionally been without compromising any academic or institutional integrity, and then making the course offerings for the second 7 weeks of the semester a little more robust in the event that we needed those. And so I was really appreciative. However, we visited 44 players in 2 weeks, signing 32 of them. And that was visits every day, players coming in and out, making decisions in 24 hours or less on where their future home was. It's unlike anything that I've seen, and it really is a recipe for lack of thoroughness and skipping steps and, quite frankly, not being right. And that's happening around the entire country. At Utah State, it was just accelerated because of our academic calendar. But I think we did really well under all the circumstances. But man, I just simply do not believe that's the sustainable model for college football. And anyway, amazing challenge. I think, again, we were very successful, but just really just a unique experience.
When you have that season that you had and it's under your belt, and have you had a chance to really reflect on last year, or Did it go right into this portal and into this recruiting period, and you really had no time to decompress and kind of look back on your thoughts on the pluses and minuses of last year?
It's both. So after our bowl game, there is a time period before the portal opens, and that, quite frankly, is a time period that's mislabeled. And as we know, the NCAA calendar needs to be completely redone. And so I'll frame that just for a second. That month that leads up to the portal opening, right, that's supposed to be a non-contact and non-tampering time period. If you think about now having to turn a roster in basically 2 weeks from the minute the portal opens and have those kids get into class, anyone that truly played by the rules and had no contact with a prospect that wasn't in the portal yet was at a giant disadvantage and, quite frankly, was completely ineffective. Many of the young people that we recruited, right, they had deals brokered, visits set, and amounts already discussed halfway through that month. And that was in a time period that all that's supposed to not be legal. But there currently isn't a governing body capable of addressing that. And there's behavioral norms that have kind of defaulted to industry standard as relative communication and moderate tampering, right? There are all these unofficial kind of best practices that are being associated simply to be effective enough to build your roster in a time period that makes no sense. And so it probably should be relabeled pre-portal communication window or something to that effect, because the rules just simply aren't being followed. Nor, if they were specifically, there isn't enough time to fill your roster and do the research needed. At that same time, to answer your question, I'm certainly reflecting on our existing season. I made the comment to a dear friend of mine right after our spring practice that I thought that we would be racing at the finish line to be postseason eligible with 1, 2, or 3 plays determining whether we were in the conference championship game. And it played out almost identically to that. And so I had a good idea where we were, good idea where we are, and we were a play or two or a player or two away or a decision or two away as the head coach in game management from right being in the conference championship game in year one. And then in reflecting to our bowl game, our roster just was not quite deep enough to handle an injury or two to have the outcome we wanted there, which is all great feedback for going into year two.
Bronco Mendenhall, head coach at Utah State, joining us. Is there some level of, and I'm trying to think of the right phrase to put this, but the landscape that you're describing feels like the old Wild West, but sometimes it governs itself to a certain extent. Is there somewhat of a code among thieves on how you guys do talk to certain players? Is there some kind of unwritten rules that you at least the coaches kind of follow, or is it just a free-for-all?
It's more of the first within coaches that have morals, values, and ethics, where they're trying everything possible to stay within reason of the rules and the intent of the rules. And I would say there's plenty that are working hard to do that. And that just, quite frankly, is the moral integrity and the human decency to try to navigate a space with character. And then there are plenty that are the other, where they just see a huge opportunity to exploit. And there are plenty of those also at the same time.
So a lot of people obviously look at quarterback, and you had probably one of the most impressive individual performances of any quarterback I've seen in the state of Utah with what Bryson Barnes was able to put together last year for your squad and just laying it on the line game in and game out. McKay Hillstead makes his return. You've got some freshmen coming in as well. You've got a transfer from Virginia. I got to imagine that's open competition in spring. Do you hope to have that settled by spring, or does that carry over into the fall?
I always hope to have it settled by the end of spring, simply because of the autonomy needed to operate in the summer months without supervision from the coaches. But also it's good for the team to know who their leader is, and then right in the unofficial workouts or the other organic workouts that happen, and even in the locker room, it's great to know who the leader is. That doesn't mean a backup can't be the leader. It doesn't mean there isn't still a chance for competition. However, that can only be to a certain extent. So I love it to be done at the end of spring. I've also been in situations where it didn't finish that way, but it still worked out effectively. But the sooner the better, I think, for the organization, the consistency, the identity, and the direction. And now whether that will happen for sure, I can't ever say for sure, but that's always my hope.
So Kevin McGivern takes the job at the University of Utah. What was the phone call like when you talked to Robert and I and said, hey, you know what, maybe let's make one more run together?
So the phone call, first of all, regarding Kevin McGivern, I haven't ever worked with someone of that matched or that he didn't exceed the character and the type of person. What an amazing human being, very skilled coach, one of the best experiences of my life to have worked with him. And so I just feel really lucky and grateful that Kevin was with me and us at Utah State last year, and he'll do exceptional wherever he goes. So first of all, I just wanted to make sure everyone knows what I think of him, and he's just exemplary. In terms of Robert, that was my first phone call. It lasted about, 15 seconds. And it was, Robert, would you have an interest in? And it was yes, and when. And he's expressed multiple times the highlight of his coaching career was our time at Virginia together, that staff, what we were able to accomplish there. And it just is, I think he feels just fortunate, grateful, but I've never seen him as happy. And so 15 years together is what we've spent. He started the first day at BYU as the offensive coordinator on my first day as the head coach. And so we've been through a lot together and a lot of success together. And so really fun. And again, the conversation was so short, and it's as if we never stopped working together, which has been great.
Did he get there in time to have any kind of influence on some of these players that were brought in? Did he have a chance to get some eyes on some film and give you some thoughts on how to build this roster?
No, most of it was done and accelerated so quickly that he was on the back end of that. But after you're with someone 15 years, it's not as if you don't know what exactly we're going to need. And so I was able to influence that, certainly on his behalf, but as the coach of the program. And really we didn't miss a beat from that standpoint, even though he wasn't here.
How do you feel like you've developed depth on the offensive line through this window?
Man, it was a priority. So we added 5 players and hoping to add one more, which would be 6. So not only the number of players that we're adding in the offensive front, but the quality of the players that we're adding in the offensive front to continue to build that unit to where we can function at the level that we would like. So priority, targeted. I think we've addressed it well and certainly needed.
This is certainly coming from a selfish standpoint because I have nothing but just love and admiration for this guy. But seeing DJ Tialavea back on your staff, that put a big smile on my face.
Oh, I'm glad. I've had a lot of positive feedback, and what many probably don't know is I actually hired DJ when I arrived a year ago, and he had another opportunity literally the same day or the next day. And so it was a very fast just kind of communication and time together. As a former player at Utah State, I love that component. As a former NFL player from Utah State, I love that component. To have an alumni on staff is excellent. I think he does a super job recruiting, not only in our state but elsewhere. And what a great connection also with the Polynesian community. And so for DJ to return, I think it was a very easy selection for me and lucky that he became available after the 1 year at Oklahoma State. And I think his ability to continue to learn and grow in the profession, as well as learn our organization and our system, I think will be a huge advantage to him, as well as continue to expand his learning and growth as a professional with the offensive line, being an assistant to Mario. I like all of that for not only him, but Utah State.
Do you feel, Nick had to do a lot to kind of manufacture pressure last year on the quarterback. How much of an emphasis was that to try to make sure that you could get pressure with 3, well, not 3, but get pressure with 4 and be able to help the back end a bit?
Yeah, huge emphasis and you can see by our portal additions, some of our the players that by volume but also ability were in both positions of pressuring the quarterback and in the secondary. So I think we've done a really nice job after year one, seeing our needs, seeing our existing roster, also anticipating and seeing some of the teams we're playing in the Pac-12 and then being aggressive and going after the players that we think will add value. And so the defense took significant steps forward, climbing over 30 spots from a year ago. And, that's expected to be repeated, if not doubled again, with where we want to go and how fast we want to be there. And that comes really through not only the coaching but the personnel selection, which I think we addressed really well with what you just said.
I saw earlier today Bobby Houck, who used to be at UNLV, he's been in Montana forever, all-time winningest coach in Big Sky. He stepped down, and one of the reasons why he said he retired is he said there's a lot of days where I just don't enjoy going to work with what college football has turned into. How hard is it for you that have been in this profession for so long to still try to enjoy what college football has become?
I was just my wife sent me the same text. So Bobby and I, many don't know, we interviewed for the same job at Northern Arizona when I was early in my career. And Bobby and I worked together at NAU, and we've known each other, and my wife Holly and his wife Stacy are good friends and have been a long time. When I saw when I saw that he retired, I already knew. I knew exactly why. And I hadn't read the article. I just saw it. And this entire experience from the head coaching position needs to be reframed if you intend to remain. And that's what I've done, because there are plenty of days and opportunities to feel exactly like Bobby has. And he had a successful career, and I know him really, really well. And if you can't find the reason within this landscape to do the job, it's very, very similar to Chris Kleiman at Kansas State. There are very good coaches that have just had enough of this current approach, landscape, and quite frankly, the professional football nature of what it is. And that is professional football. As anyone that says it's not is really not educated enough to see what this is. This is pay for play. These are contracts. This is free agency. And it's an amazing experience. And then knowing your entire roster, and quite frankly, the entire roster of every team that plays college football is able to leave at the end of each year. And so coaches like Bobby and those that are maybe more drawn to the traditional approach, it's very difficult to make sense of it. From my standpoint, the development of young people, and the influence on them in areas in addition to football is what sustains me. And if you were to say only the football part or the landscape part, it'd be a hard argument for many in the profession to say, man, I'm for that. By the way, that's not a complaint, and nor am I looking for any kind of sympathy. It just is, it has changed to such a level where I think many are having to just reframe, refocus, or recalculate what they're doing and why they're doing it. And if they can't make sense of that, then especially after all the success, and he's similar in age to I am, then it's probably just time.
How has, and you don't need to give specific numbers, but do you feel like Utah State has grown in terms of NIL funding at a rate that, I mean, obviously you always want more, but do you feel like it is accelerated at a direction and a percentage that it needs to for you to be able to compete in this new conference?
Yeah, that answer is yes. And I would say that need tripled in 1 year's time from when I arrived till now through Cam, our athletic director. Man, what a great hire for Utah State, great leader. And the staff he's bringing has been so well aligned. The institution is making that commitment. The Pac-12 is certainly, and that destination is requiring that. But from my first year to my second year, in answer to the question, as Utah State stepped up in a manner that was keeping pace with year one to year two, not the final marker, right? Not the final destination, but from year one to year two, have I felt the emphasis and the support to match that? That answer is yes, and I'm grateful that that's happened because, again, that market, in my opinion, is over tripled from what I think many of us thought it would.
Coach, appreciate it. Look forward to catching up with you again here very soon, and hopefully there's a couple days where you're able to decompress a little bit now that, well, I don't know. There probably isn't anymore, but at least hopefully you find a day to get on a surfboard somewhere in Hawaii.
Man, I'm going to try to convince my wife of that, so I hope so too.
All right. Thanks, Bronco. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks.
There he is, Coach Bronco Mendenhall, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Take another break, come back as we continue to talk a little college football. Coming up in 1 hour from right now, Kalani Sitake, head coach at BYU, will join us as well right here on the Zone.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
It is the good, it is the bad, it is the ugly. I know, even though Hans isn't here, we're still keeping a few things around. Good, the bad, the ugly remains, at least in the short run. I don't know, Lloyd, should we euthanize this too?
Let's not get crazy. I really like the good, bad, ugly.
I do too. And honestly, it is the one feature that we did the entire 12 years, correct? Like, I know
we didn't change it out. Nope.
What was the one that we did?
You make the call.
Oh, you make the call.
You make the call, which never stuck.
No,
it just did not. It never felt right. It never worked. But you try. You know what? You swing sometimes, and sometimes it works. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't.
We replaced sports roulette with that for a while, and then that didn't fly at all. So then we had to bring sports roulette back, and we might keep that around. Look, it feels like even though Lloyd and I are back. And only Hans is left, but it feels like we're like a new coaching staff evaluating the team. And who are we telling to go, hey, you need to go in the transfer portal? Like, there's those conversations that we're having in terms of what stays and what goes. And so, look, we're remaking the show a little bit at a time. I told everybody yesterday we're going to take our time on co-hosts and how that's going to look because there's a lot of really cool interest. A lot of people out there that have reached out that I think would be awesome. And so we're going to have some great choices to choose from. Tim Lacomb's going to be our co-host in the next couple days. We'll bring in a bevy of people. Kevin Graham has even signed up to host a few shows. So, Lloyd, he wants a Comrex in the mail, like ASAP. And he also wants some Perrier water.
I'm sure. The most demanding person I know.
Graham's going to have demands, but
Absolutely.
Kevin Graham's going to help us out. We'll have a bunch of other people. And look, I'm not saying this is an audition. I'm just saying that we just want to see what fits. We just want to see, who's going to mesh with Lloyd and I because, Lloyd and I aren't going to try to mesh with somebody else. They have to figure out a way to deal with us.
You bend to us. We don't bend to you.
No. Nope. I think we've been doing this long enough, Lloyd. We've earned that right to be able to say, like, no. You got to fit into our culture. We're not fitting into yours. So, all right. Hey, we're giving away a TV. That's right. The world is watching this week, and you could be watching on your brand new 75-inch. That's right, 75-inch smart TV. KSL Sports Zone wants you front and center for every unforgettable moment, and there's a bunch of them coming up this week. Enter to win at kslsports.com/contest. And for additional entries, listen this week for keywords to be announced in each show. The more entries you have, obviously, the better your chances to win. So the countdown is on. Opening ceremony on Friday. Big game coming up on Sunday. Pregame coverage starting at 11 a.m. Watch it all on KSL 5 TV. And today, your keyword is gold. That's right, gold. So go to kslsports.com/contest. Enter in the keyword gold. That will give you a chance to win. And then listen to JJ and Alex. They'll have another keyword. Then go right back to kslsports.com and enter that word in as well. So the more keywords you put in, the more opportunities you have to win. And somebody is walking away with a 75-inch television.
Only person I know to have a TV that big might be DJ.
Oh, is DJ rocking a monster TV?
Oh, I think DJ does have a really large TV.
Well, I mean, he's in that income bracket where he should have a very large TV.
I know.
But you know what? Like, I'm walking through Costco the other day, and it's amazing. Like, I don't know if these things will only last like a couple of months or maybe a year, and then you got to replace it. But I'm looking at like a 90-inch TV for like $1,500. It's crazy what's going on right now with TVs.
Hey, by the way, that old Sony you were talking about that you had and I had as well, that thing went forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what these TVs are like these days. That's probably why the prices have gone down on them.
Yeah, no, we had those, what was it, a Sony, it was a big gray TV.
The Vega? The Vega, I think.
That was my first major purchase as my wife and I as a married couple. And we got that back in like 2000. And that sucker weighed, I get at least 400 pounds. And it was only a 32-inch TV. Like, it wasn't, overall screen-wise, it wasn't that big, but man, that sucker was heavy. Beautiful screen, though, and a beautiful, beautiful TV. But yeah, lugging that thing around, that was no bueno. That sucker was a beast. All right, time for your good. All right, so last night, obviously the Jazz shorthanded with the trade, so only a 7-man rotation. And how about Isaiah Collier dishing out 22 assists and played a full 48 minutes? That dude went wire to wire. And did he know before the game? No. He didn't find out until he picked up a foul, and Will Hardy had to pull him aside and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to need you a lot tonight. And Will Hardy talked about that after the game.
That was my decision, and I did not consult anybody about that decision. I really think any player is capable of doing it. You obviously wouldn't want to do that a bunch of nights in a row. But tonight, with the players that were available, it felt like a good opportunity for Zay to just roll. I sort of alerted Zay in the first half that was my plan after he had one sort of senseless foul. I just said, like, hey, man, like, if you keep doing that, we're going to ruin this part of the... Yeah,
He goes out and plays all 48 minutes, dishes out 20 assists, and scores 17 points. The Jazz, again, a limited roster. Isaiah Collier, Cody Williams, Ace Bailey, who played 40 minutes. Kyle Filipowski played 35. Lauri Markkanen just played 26 minutes. Bryce Sensabaugh, 29. Svi Mikhailuk played 20. But Isaiah, 48, and Cody Williams, 40. And, look, 17 points. 22 assists, 3 steals, 5 rebounds, only turned it over 2 times, too. I thought it was really impressive. I don't know what kind of pro Isaiah Collier is going to be. I really like him. I like his athleticism. I like the fact that he plays with just a mentality of, I'm getting to the rim, I'm stronger than you are, and so if you put a guard in front of me, I'm going to make him pay. And his ability to get to the free throw line as well, even though last night he only shot 8 free throws, but his ability to get to the line, create at the rim, finish at the rim. Now, look, three-point shot's never going to be really part of his game, but the dude is big, he's strong, he's a freight train getting into the lane, and I love that he got a chance to really go big. Because,
how about that not happening? And I don't know, maybe you mentioned this, but since Magic Johnson in Game 5 of the 91 NBA Finals.
Yeah, somebody went for 20-plus assists and played for all 48 minutes.
All 48 minutes, 20-plus assists, and it hasn't happened since 1991.
Well, at first you're thinking, okay, that's crazy. I can't believe that hasn't happened. But then you take a look at it, and, I'll compare it, Lloyd, to your world in baseball. Going 9 innings wasn't always common, but it wasn't completely unrare that somebody would do that. Now, heaven forbid some guy goes, 6-7 innings, and then it's like, okay, well, we got to get him out. Well, he's pitching really. It doesn't matter. We got to keep him under X amount of pitches. Right now, there is such a strict limit on minutes. Like, there is technology now. And I'm sure the Jazz are doing it. Colleges are doing it. I see Utah State do it all the time. Now, I don't know how many decisions are made off of that, but they've got a little bit of a technology, like a little chip that goes into the waistband of the shorts. And it will track everything about how much energy is being exerted by that individual player, how many miles are being run, the speed in which they are running. It tracks everything. The scientific background in this is crazy. And there are teams that will make judgments on playing time throughout the course of a game based on how much energy is being exerted based on these mathematic inputs. Now, look, I don't know if the Jazz do that. I assume they do. I don't know how much attention goes into it and how that affects playing time. but I do think it does a little bit. That's why Will Hardy said that was my call and my call only. And he went and said, I alerted to the health and sciences that I was going to do that. He didn't ask for their advice because they would probably say, don't do that. But he's like, look, I think all players can do that. Now, not on a regular basis, but when it's crunch time and we need somebody to go 48 minutes, I think the NBA early 20s, NBA body can handle that. And sometimes I've talked to a lot of trainers that say, if anything, we're hurting players by being too, I don't want to say soft, but we're catering too much and we're worried too much about rest. When in reality, if you accelerate the process a little bit more, make them play through a little bit more adversity, sometimes that body is able to withstand injuries more if you go through that than you will if you play it a little on the softer side, a little bit more on the conservative side. I mean, I've seen a lot of physical trainers out there say, look, if anything, we've gone too far one way instead of pushing too far the other way.
Well, and as much as we've seen that the sciences of this and the math of this really dictate playing time and all that type of stuff, how about the amount of Achilles injuries that we're seeing? Those are through the roof. The amount of these things hardly, if it doesn't feel like, and maybe they did, I don't just quite remember, but it doesn't seem like they were happening like this in the 80s and 90s. I just don't quite remember it being like this. And I get it. These athletes are a lot. I mean, because of the weight training and all that stuff, they're a lot stronger. But for some reason, I don't know. They're having these Achilles injuries. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Jay Stevens is going to join us coming up in about 15 minutes from now. Kalani Sitake will join us coming up at 2:30. We'll talk about his class that he's brought in at BYU. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on back. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hope you're all having a tremendous day. I'm here in lovely Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we are in Old Town, Lloyd, so I do think that there might be some food options available to me. It is a late tip-off.
Real quick, by the way, you still have that list of places, right? Do you, or did you just delete it?
Well, that was like 5 years ago, so no, okay. I do not. I mean, if you have it, send it over, and I will be glad. So I've got, the game does not start until 9 o'clock tonight. 9 o'clock. Love these late games. And then I've got a 6 a.m. flight out tomorrow morning so I can get back and hang out with Lloyd. And by the way, tomorrow we'll be at RGS. See, I don't mess around when it comes to RGS. Tim and the crew, love those dudes. And it's been too long since we've seen Tim, so we will be down there coming up tomorrow. And then on Friday we'll be at Bar W Beef. And then I get to drive to Laramie to call a Utah State-Wyoming game. So
okay, I found this, by the way. I found the list, and I am sending it to you right now. You got several places. Hopefully, they're all still in business. You'll have to look and see. Boom. You got the places. We'll see if you actually come through and do what you should have done a long time ago.
I don't know if they have a spearmint rhino here in Albuquerque.
Okay. Stop. I'm not the one that went there. Wasn't me.
Did you put the same place on here twice?
No.
Oh, no. There's.
One's
no.
El Pinto and one's El Patillo.
Wow. I don't think there will ever be any confusion with that. That's crazy.
And the range could be questionable. I don't know.
Is that the gun range? No. Oh, just the range. Okay.
Just the range. Go get yourself some good, maybe even order it Christmas style. I don't know. Get yourself some sopapillas and really just go to town on some good New Mexican food.
You know what? I've got some time after the show, between the show and heading over to the arena. I've got a little bit of time. So if these are close by, I will go to one of these.
Okay. And pull it up on get your reviews and see what they're saying and go choose which one's the best, because I don't know which one's the best on these.
Yeah.
Pick yourself a good one.
I'm on it. We'll make it happen. All right. So, by the way, how about Lindsay Vonn? Have you heard this story about Lindsay Vonn?
Oh,
She
yeah.
will be competing in the Olympics with a shredded ACL. And, I mean, look, that's really, really incredible. Now, we need to get maybe a doc. Maybe we call somebody up at University of Utah Health. Remember, they'll help you out, uofuhealth.org. If she's straight away, maybe obviously she's gotten enough consultation out there that she knows she can do it at a high level. But I've always heard when you got, and I've never dealt with an ACL, thank goodness, but it's the side-to-side motion, from what I understand, that really gives you the grief when it comes to ACL. If she's just going beeline down a hill, that's great, but there's a lot of side-to-side movement that she's involved in that just makes it hard to believe that she's going to be able to pull this off. But
she's pushing off on those turns. Like, she will be pushing off on each knee to make those turns.
But make no mistake, when we talk about gutty athletes and gutty performances, to do this, and look, I'm sure there's going to be a ton of Toradol coursing through those veins to help with pain management. And God bless her, there's not enough on the planet that would get me to do what she's going to do. But if she medals, I'm not even saying gold medal, if she medals, period, I think that's one of the most remarkable accomplishments in all of sports.
I will not say it's quite Tiger Woods-esque in the U.S. Open going against Rocco Mediate because that one went extra holes.
And that was an ACL too, wasn't it?
That was, I believe, he actually had a broken stick. I think there was something that was broken, fractured on his knee. I don't think it was just an ACL. I think there was a little bit, if I remember right, I think there was a little bit more to it. And so that would be up there with that.
Maybe that relationship ended so badly that she's trying to one-up Tiger. She's like, you played golf. Oh, okay. So you walked on a course. Try a Super G, Tiger, with a shredded ACL, and then get back to me. Show you. I enjoy the Olympics, okay? And the Olympics to me is, especially the Winter Olympics. Now, I'm dialed in on the hockey, especially now. There's two things that lead me really all in on hockey. Number one, obviously the Utah Mammoth. But number two, the Four Nations and how crazy that got last year. So this year, when it comes to Olympics, I'm all in. Team USA, Team Canada. I just want to fast forward to that and let them play a best of five. You know what? Forget about everybody else. I want Team USA, Team Canada, best of five. Let's go. That's what I'm really fired up about. Everything else, the Olympics to me is casual viewing. Like, I love turning on the TV and seeing some random curling match and then being all invested into it. And then it's over, and then you forget about curling for another 4 years. But that's what the Olympics are to me, is it's more about just rooting for some Joe Schmuckatelli who's got his 15 minutes of fame. You're never going to hear from him. You've never heard from him before. You'll never hear from him again. But on that stage, on that day, he becomes a superstar. And that's what's really cool about the Olympics, and that's what I'm fired up about. But make no mistake, it's all about hockey for me. And I cannot wait, after what we've seen and what we've learned about hockey over the last year and a half and what we saw from the Four Nations. Oh yeah, let's go. And I want to see fistfights 9 seconds into a game again, because the Four Nations set the bar really, really high for all of us to really get a kick out of what could be coming down the pipeline. All right. Speaking of that, I want to talk rosters, Team USA rosters, with the man himself. Jay Stevens joins us next, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.